Across borders now, Ivory Coast will be experiencing a new taste in bread as bakers in the West African country are starting to use locally produced cassava flour to bake bread. Surging wheat prices have been driven upwards by the war in Ukraine, making it unbearable for the country to import. Bakers with the government support are also starting to substitute a small portion of wheat flour with flour from cassava, a root vegetable. Here are the details of these and more from across the continent.
Wheat prices are driven upwards by the war in Ukraine. Bakers in the West African state of Ivory Coast are starting to use locally produced cassava flour to bake bread. The baguette, the stick of bread that is much loved, is commonly seen as a benchmark of the cost of living. But Ivory Coast does not produce wheat domestically, instead importing up to 1 million tons of the grain per year, mainly from France. Surging wheat prices have stoked concerns about the impact in a country of 25 million people where the average wage is less than $400 per month, and which was shaken by a wave of violence less than 2 years ago. Both Ukraine and Russia are large wheat producers, and lost harvest and other uncertainties have driven up prices of the global staple. In response, Ivorian authorities have pegged the price of a baguette at between $0.25 and $0.30, depending on weight, channeling subsidies worth $10 million to the country's 2,500 bakeries. Cassava is Ivory Coast's second largest crop after yam, with 6.4 million tons produced each year. Meanwhile, Egypt's Suez Canal Authority reported record-breaking revenue of $7 billion for the fiscal year 2021-2022, up 20.7% from a year earlier. The income is the highest figure ever recorded and is over a fifth higher than the previous fiscal year's $5.8 billion in transit fees. Cargo that was shipped through the canal in the fiscal year amounted to 1.32 billion tons, which ended on June 30th. Ongoing global crises have proved the importance of the Suez Canal, guaranteeing the sustainability of global supply chains. The Suez Canal is a major lifeline for global seaborne trade, since it allows ships to travel between Europe and Asia without navigating around Africa, thereby reducing the sea voyage distance between Europe and India by about 7,000 kilometers. Around 12% of the world's trade passes through the man-made canal, which is a major source of hard currency in Egypt. Finally, Somalia awarded licenses to 2 foreign banks as the nation opens up the industry to international lenders. In a statement, Somalia's central bank said state-owned Bank Misr of Egypt and Turkey's Ziraat Katilim will become the first international banks to operate in the country. The banks will add value to the development of Somalia's financial sector and contribute to the growth of the economy. Somalia is struggling to recover from decades of civil war and is now one of the poorest countries in the world, with more than 70% of its population living on less than $1.90 a day. The country of 15 million people has at least half a dozen of commercial banks, with some offering services via the Hawala system, an informal network of money transfers conducted through face-to-face guarantees. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.